In and listen to my previous podcast and Wednesday video on kind of where things are at with my forest school and outdoor business, then you'll know that this has been coming. Essentially, this is part one of my call with Asa from Forest School Support. So I contacted Asa and we set up a consultation and decided to record all of it to kind of give you the behind the scenes look at first of all how Asa operates in kind of helping with advice and whatnot and moving someone forward, and also what it kind of looks like at the other end. And you'll kind of see me go through the whole process. So as I said, this is part one, where we kind of go over the way I've structured my business. It's kind of like I'm being interviewed in this about what my business looks like, what Bracken Outdoors look like. You'll have seen bits and pieces, but it'll also, from the stuff that I have online and the stuff I've talked about before, but it'll also take you into the nuts and bolts, how I structure my week, the number of videos and emails and everything I send out, real behind the scenes look into Bracken Outdoors, and also kind of starting point for when we get into conversations on moving a business forward in future parts. So yep, we'll just dive straight in. Here's part one of my call with Asa.
Awesome. Okay, so we are just gonna go for it. We are having a big old chat, and just to remind us of our kind of problem and our mission. We want you to have long-term sustainable income to run a family, to run a home, everything from your outdoor business, forest school, bushcraft, and everything in between. And we want to find a way to get you from where you are now to where you're going. So I've done a bunch of prep work. You've probably had some extra thoughts as well since our initial check-in, and we can talk about all that stuff. I normally, after the check-in, I produce like a big Word document of notes. It's just like a stream of consciousness and ideas, and then I hone it down a little bit. We talk about it in the consultation, get your input, both positive and negative. If you think I'm chatting a load of rubbish, then we can take stuff out and all that kind of thing, and then that becomes the basis of the action plan that I make after the fact. So it's kind of talking about the stuff I've thought of, adding your input, adding your ideas, changing stuff, and then that's what we go away with and turn into something. So it's just to basically I'm just gonna flick between this and my Word document, and then we will we'll go through my Word document, talk about stuff as little or as much as we like as we work through, and then when I get to the end of the Word document, hopefully that'll be a nice natural finish, but it might be there's more to talk about, and that's great too. So we'll do that. Yeah,
cool. Works for me.
Great. So I'll just sort of start working through it. So I had one question. I should have asked you this when we met the other day, but it wasn't in my head at that time. But I would love to know, in your perception of you, you're on the front line, you're running the business, you're doing the thing. What to you is the easiest win, do you think? What thing would be the fastest to fix, the easiest to fix, the highest upside? You can interpret that a lot of different ways. But what for you, of everything that you offer, is the one thing that would be easiest to implement, change, fix, make profitable, however we want to think about it? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'd say probably the online course and YouTube side of it, because currently that's generating zero income, and that just that generating income would be a big step upwards. Whereas I feel with the others, could be more tweaking around the edges, but it's not going to be a massive step change.
Yeah,
we talked again about the passive income side of it and everything.
Yeah, and about not just trading your cold hard time for cold hard cash, but actually we can.
And because that's the problem with this, with a service-based business, is that there's only typically one of you.
Yeah, exactly. And there is always a conversation about, is it possible to scale the business, employ more people? You take a cut of everyone doing all different stuff for you. But I think where you are right now, there's a lot of work to do before we get to that point, if that's ever an option as well. So yeah, I think it is. Your observation is dead on, and I completely agree with you that yeah, if I was able to wave a magic wand and make one thing like profitable with the least amount of work, I think it is the tarps course actually, and I've got lots of thoughts about that. And thank you for access to it. I've been flicking through it this afternoon, and I am going to do the whole thing for you and send you some bits and pieces about it because it's awesome. Yeah, so that's good. And then so these are all unrelated questions, but I collected them all together as I was writing the notes and going through stuff.
Yeah, good for it.
What is your level of output, would you say, on a weekly basis for YouTube, social media, podcasts, blogs, newsletter, all that kind of thing?
So is in how much I put out of each of those in a week?
Yeah, and how much, what your output level is in, like, on YouTube, how many videos is it a month or a week, whatever's best to describe, and also from an input point of view, how much time do you put into those things on a weekly basis as well?
Okay, so the YouTube and podcast. So YouTube is 2 videos a week. One
Yeah,
of those is generally in. So one of them is a more in-depth, both in terms of filming and editing, and then the
yeah,
other one comes out as just a vlog, which is me just walking around the woods or sitting down for between 6 and 10 minutes, and then that gets uploaded as a podcast as well. And then I occasionally have podcast interviews. So the one video is both a video and a podcast, and then there's a video that's standalone. So that creates 2 YouTube videos a week and 1 podcast.
wow, that's a
And
lot. That's a
then
lot more. Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah, and then it varies, but I try and average one newsletter or email roundup sent out every week. Now
Yeah,
I maintain 2 email lists. So I have the email list that's associated with all of my family sessions and family
yeah,
events. So that the people that on that describe it, they basically come to my sessions or come to my family events. And then I have
yeah,
the outdoor leaders mailing list, which is associated with the YouTube channel, with the TARPS course, and with all of those.
yeah.
And I
That's good.
try and get out, as I said, roughly email a week, but I try and only email if I actually have something worth sending
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
And I'll rotate around either so I'll do an event roundup. So all of the outdoor leader events that I know of that are happening in, well, nationally and locally, I'll do a roundup of the best of the videos and podcasts that I've put out, and then the other 2 will be either a completely unique thought just for the mailing list, or breakdown of something, or it'll be a bit of added value, or just a sales pitch for something that I have going.
yeah.
Social media is a bit up and down, but I try and post like every couple of days. But a lot of it's just sharing the stuff that I do on YouTube,
Of
and
course. Yeah, of course.
it's just a feeder in. And of course, I try and spend as much time as I can on groups to answer questions wherever possible.
Yeah, that's important
And
as well, I think.
in terms of actual time it takes to do this, it works out to about a day a week that is dedicated entirely to that.
Yeah, that sounds yeah, that sounds impressive for that level of output. That's great. One day per
I
week.
try and bulk things wherever possible. So I have a private bushcraft session that I run once a month, and I hire a site for that. And so I will have time before they arrive in the morning where I'll just batch record a whole lot of videos while I'm on
Yeah,
site anyway. Well, and then I go on to teach the session, and then it all gets uploaded and edited.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, great. And just 2 questions about that then. From the social media, is it Facebook and Instagram you're posting to, or just Facebook?
Yes, yeah. It's it's a little more weighted towards Facebook because that allows links, and so
Yeah.
posting that you have a
Yeah.
new YouTube video on Instagram doesn't really do very much because they still have to
No.
click through and find the channel.
Yeah. Yeah. And on Facebook and Instagram, for example, have you ever tried uploading the same video that you uploaded to YouTube but to Facebook, or just sharing links?
Yes, yes, I used to do that. I used to upload to both. It
Yeah.
was a bit of a pain because Facebook can be a bit of a pain with uploading longer
Yes,
videos and
it can. Yeah.
things and crashing all the time. But my biggest thought there was I actually wanted people to be on the YouTube channel. So I was pushing people towards becoming YouTube subscribers rather
Yeah.
than kind of spreading it out because I wanted my main focus, my main offers to go out to YouTube.
Yeah.
It was kind of a decision that there are a number of different avenues that I could pursue. At the time, I was pursuing the podcast and the YouTube channel equally, and then I made the choice what is better for the vast majority of the content that I put out and the type of content, and then that was YouTube.
Yeah.
Top of it, YouTube is a bit more generous with algorithms and things than Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Awesome. And then the last question was, do you know off the top of your head your mailing list numbers?
So yes, I think it's about 180 split. We've got it's about 50-50 now, about 50-50
Wow.
on each.
Better later. There was another question I have. You talked about events and conferences and networks that you're a part of with the outdoor leaders and the IOL and all these other things. And I wondered, uh, is that something that you currently use to market yourself and network, or is it something you could use um, in terms of what you're offering? And that's coming from a very, I don't know how it is at the events and the networks and everything like that, but I wondered if is there much opportunity for both selling what you have to offer and also for affiliating with other people to come together and produce something or anything like that?
Uh, it varies depending on the events. A lot of the events that I go to, it's kind of there's no overt promotion at all. It's basically
Yeah,
okay. I'm just going to meet people. I'm just going to network. So there's
yeah,
a number of I said there's a number of different conferences and it varies. So from the Florida School conference, that was entirely promotion almost. So we ran a cooking course and I had a stall there with Woodland Classroom and I was
yeah,
pretty much just there to promote the business. For the Bushcraft PPG IOL conference, I cater that. So that's a kind of separate income stream. And so I don't
yeah,
promote as part of that. The outdoor ed groups, again, more connection. I used to be a bit of both CPD and connection. And I kind of use them as a bit of a sounding board as well. Like, hey, I'm developing this. Is this something that you'd be interested in? And kind of just chat to people. And I get chatting with a lot of people, and they then contact me afterwards, and then we work out whether I can help them at all. So it's kind of like feeder in on bits and
yeah.
pieces.
And just
But
for the
I am,
wider knowledge and things like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I am looking at collaborations. There's two collaborations that I'm interested in with people about more online courses.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's I'm a bit wary because of
Yeah.
where the TARPS course is at the moment. So I don't want to charge headlong into something unless I can really determine that there is need and want for it.
Yeah. I agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah. Uh, so I'm grilling you a bit at the moment, but then I'll do more
No,
talking.
no,
Um,
no. It's good to be on the side of it.
yeah. Yeah. And then I was interested in you mentioned that when we were talking about the viability of everything, you said you felt a bit I don't know if anxious is the right word, but a bit anxious because it feels like your programs are fully booked or almost fully booked, but there's not a high enough level of income from them. So I wondered across your offer, how booked are your things? Are you like completely full for everything, or is it like one or two places here and there? Like how kind of does it look from your point of view?
So the forest school sessions, which are the ones that have been running the longest, they've been running for 2 years now. They
Yeah.
are fully booked, as in there's a waiting list outside
And
that. So
this is the 2 hour slot with the home ed people.
yeah, yeah, and
Right.
forest school in
Yeah.
the morning, forest school bushcraft in the afternoon. And
Yeah.
then I also have the bushcraft sessions, which are the Wednesday groups. Now that's something relatively newer, so it's new to this year that I'm running those sessions privately. I was funded to run the sessions before, and I've had some of those that came to the essentially free sessions now rebook. So I basically it was 20 people that then got condensed down to one one group of 10 people that are kind of staunch supporters of it, and they continue coming back. And then at the moment, it's building the other session, which is currently at about between 30 and 40% capacity, so 3 to 4 kids.
Okay. And that was the one you do with a co-leader. Is that right?
No, that's so all of the regular sessions, the Bushcraft and Forest School are just me. The Holiday
Yeah.
Club is the one that I run with
And
another
that was
group.
that one. So that was the bi-weekly one that you're talking about there, 30,
Yeah,
40%.
so the bi-weekly one is the Bushcraft one just on my own.
Yeah.
I mean, I can barely keep track of all of my events and sessions. So.
Yeah. I was enjoying trying to work it all out. And then the holiday club, when you run that, I'm also interested in the holiday club specifically. Do you run that for the whole holidays? Is it just one day a week? And how booked is that as well?
So we run typically one 1 to 2 holiday clubs every block of holidays. So half term we'll only run one, essentially because
Yeah.
sometimes I keep a lot of the other sessions going at the same time, and sometimes I don't. It varies, and sometimes I'll launch an extra event as well. During the
Yeah.
summer as well, we'll typically only run 2 sessions the summer holidays. This is mostly because my co-leader has children who are in school, and so she works really hard. So she tries to get off and spend a whole lot of time with them during the holidays, which is fantastic. But it means that I'm short a co-lead if I wanted to expand that. Um,
Yeah.
Typically, those sessions have been doing really well during the summer and beyond. They've been fully booked. We're a little
Amazing.
bit slow at the moment, but we are pretty close to capacity. I have thought about expanding the holiday clubs, running more of them, because
Yeah.
they are easily one of the most profitable and worthwhile sessions. They're an awful lot of fun to run, and they do well. They're just limited by holidays.
Yeah, I love the notion of holiday clubs, and that's something that I personally have thought a lot about when I'm thinking about if I move back to England from Norway. Um, I think holiday clubs is one of the first things I'll go for, because I think it's yeah, it's a big pain point for parents because they want their kids to have amazing experiences when they're on holidays, and two, they don't want to be looking after the kids the whole time, so they're willing to pay, like you say, a good profitable rate to have both of those bases covered.
And it
Um,
widens your market substantially, because
yeah,
with homemade it's still a very small portion of the children out there, whereas
yeah.
Holiday Club essentially opens up to every single school child of the age range and area that you're working in.
Great. Okay, so there's one overarching thought which I've made bigger and made it bold on my Word document here, so I don't forget to say it. And I'll say it now because I think it's probably a good time before we get into kind of all my additional thoughts and conversation points that I've got here. And that is that uh, I would consider, and again, you know best because it's your business and your project and stuff. But I would consider actually that the CIC, um, to stretch into that at this particular point might be an overstretch for for other stuff. It might be better to make what you have now work before you go after the new exciting thing. I know that I've been guilty of that so many times in my life in so many different things I've done, forest school, the things that are happening in Norway. The new opportunity looks way better than the current one. But I think to stretch into that now might mean that you just have more things that aren't quite working as optimal as you'd like. So, and I think the CIC is a fantastic idea. I love what you're talking about the mental health work and therapeutic forest school delivery, and all that kind of stuff, and getting access to funding. All of that's amazing. But I think if we can make everything in the meantime work really well, then we can come at that from a much more informed position, and a position where we go, actually, this part of my provision that I thought was great actually isn't as good as all these other things. So I'm going to drop that to take the CIC or something. So that was an initial thought, because you are already super busy. Like you said, you struggle to differentiate between all the different things you offer and how many different things you have, and everything like that. And you're balancing it amazingly well. I'm super duper impressed. And I saw that from talking to you, from looking at your website. Your branding's really good. Your SEO is really good. And your the way everything's organized, and your breakdown and your schedules and the way you organize your week, like everything's really there. And I wonder what throwing a whole other entity into the mix might do at the moment. That's my feeling on that. But we can talk a bit more about that in a little while.
That, yeah. I'm just gonna say, well, thank you, and also, I think you're probably right on the money. If you asked me a month and a half, 2 months ago, whether it was going to be too much, and I've said, no, I think it'll work out. At this point, come in the thick of it, I've revised and revised again my projections for when I can get things up and running, and I'm kind of looking at it and go, okay, yeah. So I'm on board with that thought, and would be happy to explore that further.
Yeah, that's great. And it's something that I don't want you to lose the dream or the plan or all the seeds that you've sown so far. You can keep it going in the background, but I wouldn't jump headlong into it until everything else is working. And then, then it's a welcome addition rather than another load of stress and headaches with little payoff. So that was the feeling about that. But it's good. And I think sometimes it's good to hear those things and those and I think one thing with all the businesses I've worked with and the business that we're building here in Norway, I have realized time and time and time again that actually niching down and focusing down and prioritizing down are always the things that lead to success. Even if on the other side of the hourglass you then open up again, you have to kind of get through that funnel to go, to get to a point where it can be done.
Yeah, they're all things that I've hit on podcasts and YouTube. But yeah, it's always hardest to take your own advice. That's the constant.
It is.
But I'm different.
Yeah, exactly. I can manage it for sure. Yeah, it's not that much. Yeah.
So there we go. That was part 1 of the series. So I will have a full link to the series list in the description, or it'll just be future episodes on the podcast. So I hope you find it interesting so far. As I said, this one is just kind of setting the scene, where I'm at the moment, and then with the next couple of parts, we'll start getting into some specific areas of improving a business. So looking at developing goals, taking risks, deciding on your risk tolerance, and that kind of stuff. So look out for part 2 and onwards. With that, thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember to make the most of every day, and I'll catch you all next time.